the CEO just got this ransom email. If we don't pony up 72 Bitcoin by end of day, they're gonna encrypt all of our data.
We're in the cloud. They got our backups, we're covered. We're gonna need access to all our company's backups and... Wait, we're supposed to do that? Yeah, I'm still here, but probably not for long.
Hello, and welcome to our first Vox video blog post. I'm here with my colleague, Alex Restrepo. Alex, thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks, happy to be here. How's it going, Alexandra?
You know, it's going pretty well. I'm looking forward to sharing some insight into the conversations you and I have all the time regarding ransomware resiliency, so let's dive right in. I'm interested to know, from your perspective, what is one of the biggest challenges faced by organizations who are coming up against the threat of ransomware today?
Yeah, I think a big challenge to the concept of resiliency, which is something we talk to. You mentioned earlier we talk about this a lot, and I think we do. The idea is you want to be as resilient, which means, from my perspective, being able to weather the storm of something as best as possible. In order to be resilient against ransomware today, one of the biggest challenges has got to be complexity. Being able to be resilient in the face of complexity. That complexity actually takes the form of innovation. And so what I mean by that is today we see a reality that is a hybrid cloud reality, a hybrid multi-cloud reality where enterprises of all sizes are using both on-prem resources and resources in the cloud. Public clouds for sure, and some of them are even creating private clouds, which add another layer of complexity. And so all of these then become potential vectors for ransomware or malware of any kind, bad actors. And so we have to be very careful then, as we engage in the opportunities that the hybrid cloud affords us, how do we then make sure we maintain security when we have so many multiple points of potential access and potential failure?
Absolutely, because as you and I both know, any data that can be accessed will be potentially accessed and deleted or encrypted by ransomware. So today's highly connected systems, while they make incredible sense as far as supporting the flow of data across an organization, across multifaceted infrastructure, ultimately it can lay the perfect groundwork for ransomware. And it's a terrifying reality. One, thankfully, we're able to help our customers combat. Something else I want to note while we're on the topic of complexity is just the interpersonal reality of being at a large organization. What many of Veritas representatives have found in conversations with IT teams is a silo in communication between, for example, the core IT team and the company's security staff. And this is something that Veritas is aware of, and that in our data protection planning efforts alongside our customers, we are trying to support the breaking down of those communication silos so that ultimately, if an organization should need to recover, that everybody knows what data is being managed and why it's being managed, and of course, who is ultimately managing it in the case to recover. Alex, could you speak a little bit to that, about the benefit of connecting teams across an organization if and when recovery should be necessary?
Yeah, I think we've already addressed the complexity of the hybrid cloud. I think in answering your question and your statement, I think one of the advantages, right, is the methodology by which we've been able to create the hybrid cloud, which is namely the software abstraction of resources. And so compute, storage, the workloads themselves, they no longer care as much about the underlying infrastructure. It really, what just matters is the data itself. You encode a little bit of metadata on top, and it's able to be very portable. Containers are a great example of that, but even just VMs, right? Regular VMs being able to move from on-prem to in the cloud, that's a great example of the portability of these things.
Let's talk for a minute about some of the very simple, everyday best practices that an IT team can impart to manage and protect data effectively and combat ransomware as best as possible. I know one of the things that we talk about on our team a lot is the 3-2-1 backup methodology. That's 3 copies of data with 2 media forms and 1 copy stored offsite. So that could look like 1 copy stored on premises, another in the cloud, and then of course another on an alternative media form and offsite, like in an immutable cloud or tape storage facility. Alex, what are some additional best practices that come to mind that you'd like to advise Veritas customers to take on today?
I have a handful of additional ones. Before I get there, though, I do want to follow on with something you already talked about, that 3-2-1 methodology. For me, it's always the 3-2-1 is a starting off point. It's like the bare amount of flair. You don't really want to have just the minimum amount of flair. You want to try to do as much as possible to secure that data. And so for me, 3 copies. Look, data is portable, right? That's one of the advantages of data, right? And so it needn't be simply 3 copies, right? Two different medium types, as an example, right? That's great. It's important to make sure that you don't have a single point of failure at any place, right? 1 offsite copy. Look, there's no reason we can't have multiple offsite copies. The only concern, of course, becomes budget, perhaps. But aside from that, it really just depends on how important this particular piece of data is.
As you were talking, I was thinking through one of the facts that we share routinely among our team, and that is that today 93% of ransomware attacks are onset through employee email engagement. So literally an employee unintentionally downloading a malicious file by way of a phishing email scam. And while that seems shockingly high, the truth is that ransomware is a human issue just as much as a data and infrastructure issue. And part of the best practices that we can help impart in customer organizations really does have to do with just a basic understanding of how to best protect data and infrastructure.
Yeah, so much of the best practices that you really think about when you think about security, I think a lot of folks out there that are maybe admins working out there can relate to this, because I know I have to do this. There's some of the same advice you would give to your own mother, right? Or your own father. I've done this, right? Where I'm explaining that maybe you don't want to click on everything that comes through your inbox. Maybe you want to be slightly more suspicious of what's coming into your inbox, and make sure that you understand, hey, did you mean to send this? I often send that to my mom because I don't know if she's been hacked or not. I say, Mom, did you mean to send this to me? Right? A simple double click like that maybe can thwart some of the bots that are out there that want to spread that malicious code. But you're right. This is a person problem, a people problem, as much as anything. Something we talk about in the industry is the concept of people, processes, and technology, and the idea that that's what it all boils down to. As Veritas is a software company, we provide technology. As we're a leader in the space of data management, we provide some processes, both in terms of white papers and guides, and also in terms of professional services.
It's understandable that it's a tough call to make for many, particularly with these bad actors. They've evolved year over year, and in admittedly brilliant ways. Many phishing scams today are designed to look like emails coming from within inside the organization. It's understandable that many employees will click and download those links. That said, it certainly speaks to the benefits of preparing, resiliency planning, and having a defined plan to recover if and when ransomware should make its way past an organization's frontline defenses. Particularly because today, ransomware is specifically designed to seek and access backup files to hinder an organization's ability to recover. So today it is particularly malicious, and I'm grateful that you and I have the opportunity to work with Veritas customers and share positive messages, opportunities to feel empowered, confident in taking on ransomware, and knowing that if and when they should face an attack, that they can effectively recover their data and infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me here today virtually. I really appreciate it. And I know you and I will continue this discussion all day long. It's what we do. But again, thank you all for joining us in this first Vox Video Blogs post. Again, it's the first in an installment of a few. Looking forward to the next in the series. And thank you for joining me again, Alex.
Thanks, Alexandra. Always great talking to you.
Bye.